Everybody sing that shit.
Neymar's insistence on taking center stage is not good for Brazil. The best player in this Brazilian team is Philippe Coutinho, but some things do not change and will not change. One of them is that as long as Neymar feels fit enough to play, he will remain this team's focal point. This is not necessarily a good thing for Coach Tite and his players, but that never seems to matter. Neymar, the world's most expensive footballer, will not move from center stage until he is ready. Here in St. Petersburg, Brazil struggled desperately to find the victory they needed. Neymar, still finding his way after more than 3 months absent with an ankle problem, epitomized those problems. At times he threatened to leave a profound impact on the game but ultimately failed to do so. He scored a tap-in goal in injury time and then wept by the center circle at the final whistle. His need for attention is a little similar to that of Cristiano Ronaldo, but currently that is where comparisons begin and end. Neymar's form, his ability to influence games, is nothing like that of Ronaldo. Coutinho of Barcelona is not necessarily a more gifted player than his compatriot, but he is more consistent, more reliable. But in this team he concedes the taking of free kicks and corners to Neymar, and that in itself is strange. Here Neymar wasted many of them. On paper this is such a talented and dangerous-looking Brazil team. Nobody should live with them in Russia, really. How many other nations could fail to find a starting place for the brilliant striker Roberto Firmino, for example? The Liverpool player's header in the build-up to Coutinho's late goal was truly exceptional. It is tempting to wonder if Neymar unbalances Brazil a little, if not tactically then emotionally. There is so much fuss and so much hoop about the 26-year-old that it can do little for the stability of Tite's squad. Part of the problem is that Neymar constantly seems to be seeking to prove himself these days. He undoubtedly made the wrong move when he left Barcelona for PSG. Yes, the money at Paris is phenomenal, but the profile is not the same and was never going to be. He knows that now. So it appears that Neymar relies on his international football for his self-validation, and that is never good. With Brazil the story more often than not seems to be about their golden child, and that while that may suit him it doesn't necessarily suit them. This afternoon at the St. Petersburg Stadium, Neymar played predominantly down the left side. He did not want for effort and ran as hard as he could all day. In the Brazilian media there have been stories, denied yesterday by Tite, that he has had to tell Neymar to play more for the collective. It must be said there was no sign of that being an issue here. Nevertheless, when opportunities did come, when the big moments arrived, Neymar was more often than not found wanting. There was one shot saved superbly by Keylor Navas early in the second half. That could have been a moment to save Brazil a little anxiety. But there was too often a heavy touch here and a slightly overhit pass there. And then there was the penalty that wasn't. Maybe that told us all that we needed to know about Neymar and his current mood. It was a dive, certainly. But why did he need to dive? He dived because, on receiving the ball with a shot there for the taking, his poor control took that chance away from him. So 4 years after their own World Cup ended in ignominy, this one was threatening to slip away from Brazil rather earlier until Firmino, Gabriel Jesus and Coutinho combined to save the day. Next up is Serbia in Moscow on Wednesday, and Brazil will be able to relax a little. It would be sensible to start with Neymar on the bench. He is still returning to fitness, after all. That, of course, will never happen.